Okay, because I haven't processed the video, I can't remember how much I have to cut off on it to fit 10 minutes. So just in case, I'm going to recap this last part that I was talking about. We've established the first immoral action, and the next thing we need to do in the storyline is he needs to have a plan to reach his goal. And Jack's plan to reach his goal is simple, and that is that he is going to do whatever it takes to get revenge, to find the rapist and see justice is done. And that will lead him to start talking to aliens and underground. And like I said, he saw the rapist, and he, briefly, and he wore a certain kind of jacket with an emblem on it. And as the story progresses, he's going to find out that that emblem belongs to a certain organization. And I need to decide on the point of view. Do I want just one point of view, or do I want 2 points of view, or 3 points of view? And the main thing I'm thinking about right now, with why I might want 2 points of view, that is the protagonist and the antagonist, is it really, depending on how I decide to write this, it's going to be two different stories, two very different novels. If I write it from only Jack's point of view, or from Jack and his sister's point of view or something, but I'll just do it from Jack's point of view, then it'll be a mystery to what Bob is doing. And therefore the reader won't know what Bob is doing. But I can actually, and that can add a lot of tension. It can be more, there'll be more of a mystery, a revenge mystery story kind of. But if I show Bob's point of view, and I cycle back and forth, and someone who does this a lot is Dean Koontz. So if I show Bob's point of view, which is, I don't want to get caught. What I did is justified. He can even have a conversation with someone, a lawyer or something, and it's like, well, it doesn't work that way on this planet. Maybe on your planet, that's how things work, but not here. And he's like, well, I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to get caught. This guy's not going to capture me. And so he decides to send Charlie, to set up Charlie for his crime, to frame Charlie. And if we see these scenes from Bob's point of view, we get to know Bob a lot better, which kind of will make us sympathetic towards him, which means I'll have to kind of give a little bit of backstory and for his reasons and all that from the very beginning of the story, which can be good because this can actually build a lot of tension. This takes out a lot of the mystery of it, but it builds tension because the reader knows what Jack doesn't. The reader knows that Jack is chasing a false person. And the reader will be like, oh no, you're going the wrong way, this is all wrong. And that can build a lot of tension. So I need to decide what I want to do. If I stick with Jack's point of view, then the reader won't know unless I very carefully set up the evidence that Charlie's not the right guy and just Jack hasn't figured out yet, but the reader has. I can do that. Or I can make it to where the reader doesn't know. I can keep it very mysterious. And we only know what Jack knows, and since Jack doesn't know, the reader doesn't know. And that can make that can actually make it very impactful when he does come in conflict with Charlie, goes to kill him, kind of has a change of heart, Charlie falls. When he dies, Jack doesn't feel any immediate change, doesn't stop the drugs, but then he finds out that that's not the real rapist. He figures it out. Some of the hints were there, and then maybe somebody comes and tells him and secures him, and now he needs to continue on his quest to seek revenge, to see that justice is done. So anyway, we'll continue plotting, but point of view is something you might want to decide before you start plotting, or you can decide it after I plot. After I plot all this out, I'm going to come up with a lot more ideas, and then I can decide for sure whether I want more than one point of view, whether I want multiple third person or limited third person. Okay, so continuing on. Right, now we need to get into drive. So after all this, after doing some world building, some foreshadowing, some background on the main characters, weaving background with the main characters, showing his desire, now his desire is justice and all that, showing what his needs are. His first immoral action, which now reveals some of his weaknesses. In this case, the drug addiction, and now the first immoral action showed his anger problem, which makes him abusive. And then, and please listen to this series from part 1, or a lot of this will not make sense. So if you're just watching this video, don't, because you need to watch from the beginning. Then we need the plan to reach his goal, and that then kicks off, starts kicking off the story. So a lot's happened here. This is like 75 pages into the story or so. And now the drive kicks in, and the drive will take on most of the story. This is called the middle, and for me it's the most difficult part to write. It's most people's difficult part to write. The drive takes up the bulk of your story. It's really the entire middle of your story. So this is going to be a 300-page novel, let's say. I've already covered the first 75 to 100 pages, and now I need to cover 200 more pages or 225 more pages. The climax is only going to take up like maybe 50 pages, the whole ending. So I need the bulk of the story is going to be like 200 pages long, or excuse me, like 175 pages or so long, somewhere around there. So I need a lot of conflict. So that we talked about this before, the conflict takes up majority of your story. I need to come up with clever ways to incorporate all this information through conflict, through scenes that build conflict, and each time the conflict's built, it raises the stakes higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and until the tension's so bad it's about to explode, and that makes the end that much more impactful, whatever the ending is going to be. We already know what our ending is going to be because we're using this formula to build a story, which starts from the end, knowing the end before we do anything, and we saw everything worked organically. I'm just keeping a track on time. Okay, so we need to think of ways to build conflict and things that happen. So I've already decided that one of the conflicts in the beginning of the conflict era is going to be he needs to go underground to like some alien guy, and that guy is going to give him information on who did the rape in this organization, and that leads him down the right way. And now he's going to go through all kinds of crap, right? So as he goes through all this crap, I'm going to continue weaving in foreshadowing, world building, background, developing my characters, sociological, psychological, physical, physiological, all these different needs. I'm going to start revealing all these different things as the story continues on. I'm going to reveal his background with women and why he has a hard time with women before he meets this woman, otherwise it'll be pointless, and so forth. Okay, I need to reveal, if I can, depends on how I write the story, about Bob. But if I write it solely from Jack's point of view, he needs to learn about Bob through other people, and because I want to reveal that. So anyway, I also need to reveal any fake ally opponents or fake opponent allies. These are people that we think at first are enemies but actually are allies. Okay, so I need to do all that through the drive of the story, through the conflict of the story. Another thing that I need to do, so other things I need to do besides build character throughout the drive of the story, world building, background, and all that, showing more of the character's weaknesses and strengths, that is fear of heights and all that, is I need to show him getting desperate. He starts to lose to the opponent. Things get harder and harder for him as he's moving through this arc of the story. So right now he's moving through his conflict, things are getting harder and harder. He starts taking more and more immoral actions. He starts getting desperate. Maybe he decides to do illegal things like pay someone to give him information on this company that's illegal on this planet. But you don't want to make him unlikable. Just he's taking immoral action. So he's doing all these immoral things to reach his goal. He really wants justice. His sister's telling him, no, don't do this, this is wrong. And he starts spiraling out of control. He meets this girl, and we already went through what's going to happen with her and with his love life, and I'm going to reveal more about that. Anyway, I'll go ahead and cut this video off now because it's almost over, and we'll continue on with the next one.